Folks, the historical Oracle is back. It's April 1996. Oracle, you're on the second half of a double shot. For folks that are watching this in 25 years on the Volume Network, Oracle just did Divas Deep Dive, which I'm sure you've listened to another time. It feels like it's been a while since we did this, man. Right?
It has. Yeah.
It's been
a
too
little
long. I'm excited to be back. Oracle, how are you feeling this evening, pal?
I'm feeling well.
Yeah.
It has consistently hit the mid-80s here in Knoxville, Tennessee.
Oh,
I've struggled to stay up past like 11 o'clock. I've like gone to bed at midnight every night, which is like actually a good thing, but like it's like my body adjusting to the heat.
yeah.
And it's like kind of kicking my ass. And
Understandable.
It's only worse down south. Like we're not even. It's fucking May 12th, man. July 12th, August 12th, way worse than what it is right now. And I'm going to fucking SummerSlam out in the Nashville sun like an idiot. So
let me tell you though, man, when you see that Rhea Alexa match.
Oh yeah, you're right. Woo boy.
4 1/4.
Mm.
By the way, that 4 1/4 thing's got over. I think we both should claim credit for that. That's a good bit. We just say 4 1/4 or 3 1/4. That's good shit. We do have a lot to get into. I reminded myself of the notes, and I was very, very impressed by the girth and tonnage of those notes to tribute another television show that's never talked about 1996 professional wrestling. Folks, if I'm looking this way a lot, it's not because I'm ignoring the wonderful tones of the Oracle of Wrestling. The Philadelphia 76ers are playing an elimination game. Very scary.
What's the score, Joe?
Currently we're down 2. I may be slightly behind people in the chat because I'm watching this through very legal means. But, I'll do play-by-play as we get close if I want to. We may be out of the game by then, in which case I'll not talk about it whatsoever. Okay. Oracle, because it's been a while, we usually do this anyway. I think it makes sense. Let's set the scene best we can. In March, we had WrestleMania, opposite Uncensored, which is an incredible combination of words. With all this going on, ECW had a clean sweep in terms of the actual TV itself. So that's kind of the general thing. But just any other details people should know. If this is their first episode and they say, I haven't got 2 hours to go back, where are we at here as we enter April 1996?
So WWF has kind of gone through a little bit of a resurgence. Somewhat after WrestleMania 12, things have kind of reset like they always do in their WWE calendar. I think things are feeling a little bit fresher. We've got Mark Mera, we've got Mankind. And we'll talk about those guys here tonight. Austin is getting more of a push. Things, Michaels as a champion, very hit or miss, but it still felt new and different. Just a very fresh, time for WWF. It seems like they kind of rebounded pretty well, off of Mania. WCW struggling immensely right now, which is incredible. If you really think about it, think about that. I mean, things were looking rough, right? And
Hail Mary ahead,
boom! I mean, it just flipped the switch. It was amazing, and it's just there just seemed to be running in place weirdly. Like Hogan leaving is actually like it's not even because Hogan left, but like it's like the shows are even worse now that Hogan's left in a way. It's a mess. It's not good. They're not like downright terrible or anything. It's just there's nothing terribly compelling. Like I don't know. They have great megastars and stuff that are just like consistently like entertaining to a degree, but it's just Flair, Savage, so on and so forth thing. But there's not. It's just a void of just.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like, almost like a creative void. It just wasn't. It's just not that compelling. ECW is still doing pretty well. Not quite as good as it was at the end of 95 and early 96. But still going pretty strong. Shane Douglas is in his pursuit for the ECW World Heavyweight Championship. Raven is still the champion. RVD and Sabu are in their big feuds. RVD's starting to become a center part things, and that will continue on for the next 5 years. Jericho's in the picture now. Taz is having more competitive matches that we brought up the last show, and he's continuing to do that here. So lots of things going on in ECW. Not quite as good as it was early in the year or in late
Right.
95, but still pretty good. Ultimately, I think the most interesting part is that WWF has kind of had a pretty good 5 to 6 weeks.
Which is going to be, an immediate topic for us. It kind of gets lost sometimes because there's been such a consistent winner. But we lead with whoever won the most weeks of the month, right? And this month we had 5 weeks of TV. And incredibly, the WWF scored their first win here in April of 96. They took the first 3 weeks of April. And let's get into the pieces there. So we're going to kick things off the World Wrestling Federation. This is their first time at the front here. So hopefully it's worthwhile. I think it is. There's a lot of interesting topics here. So let's get into it. Their pay-per-view this month is In Your House 7, Good Friends, Bitter Enemies, or Better, the deal, Bitter Enemies. And this is the last weekend of the month. And to start at the top, this is a match that is kind of I don't want to say it's forgotten because it's a match people love, and Dave give it 4.5, and I knew fans will. I just didn't know that his rating was higher. But because of what Diesel is about, it kind of is like a thing that's it happened, but people forget how much people love this at the time and have since. Honestly, it is of course Shawn Michaels' first pay-per-view title defense. It is him and Diesel, no holds barred. Very highly thought of match. Oracle, what did you think of the pay-per-view main event for Good Friends, Bitter Enemies?
Outstanding. Great match. Great brawl. Very different, unique, and from what was going on elsewhere in WWF at the time. Lots of creative and inventive spots and stuff, like Shawn Michaels taking off the Spanish announcers, or maybe it was the ring announcer's boot. I can't remember who. I think it was the Spanish announcer's boot and a shoe, and hitting Diesel with it. And of course, Shawn takes a big bump in the table, and Vince is like, just stay down. Because Vince is, Shawn's biggest cheerleader.
Indeed.
Really, really good match. Just a great match. Diesel was outstanding in this. Cocky, great character work. Looked really sharp in there. Shawn, of course, was great bumping and selling. Timed his comebacks excellently. Very famous finish where Mad Dog with Shawn gets dragged out of his front row seat, and Diesel rips his prosthetic leg off because I think Mad Dog got in a terrible car accident. I think this is what caused that. And Diesel tries to use Mad Dog's leg on Shawn. Shawn fights back, hits Diesel with the leg, hits a super kick, retains the belt. Just a super entertaining main event.
Is it too far to ask if this is the last legitimately great Kevin Nash performance? And great being the key word, not better than you hope. He's actually great here.
He is. He is. It might be. It's funny because I think he was really hitting his stride. I think he was getting to be pretty good. I don't think he would have been turning out classics every month, right? But he probably could have had a couple other really good matches in 96 WWF. Goes to WCW, gets that money, right? And no, look, him coming out with the fanny packs and cutting funny promos, that was, sure.
That's his legacy, and that's fine.
But his effort was just, depending on if he felt like working hard, you can tell when Big Kev was out there trying to work hard, especially in WCW. You can tell, it's pretty noticeable. Otherwise, he's just not caring, or he's just inebriated and can't safely take a bump. But now someone's car alarm is going off outside. I'm sure you can hear it.
Yeah, I was very concerned about what that was. I'm glad it's on your end.
There's not much I can do about that, folks. I apologize.
It's very quiet. You're fine.
Yeah. But now it's annoying me. But yeah, this was a great performance from Nash. Probably was his last great performance for sure.
Am I wrong in saying this is kind of forgotten? because it just fit.
It
Like people
is.
talk about, it, but it's better than people really. It's like a genuinely great WWF title match. It's interesting. Okay, let's stick with that for a little bit. That was your best match to be clear for WWF for the month, so
Right.
it's worth noting that. How is Sean's reign here? What kind of start are we off to? Obviously, we can kind of talk about specifically the Diesel feud, but just his early days, obviously. But broad strokes, Sean's reign, the start of that, and the Diesel feud itself is a television product. Where are we at on all of that?
I thought they did a great video leading up to it. This video was just like their whole story, their entire story.
Love it.
93 on. Have you seen this video?
Yes, it's awesome.
Great. It's one of the best videos, and like WWF production was outstanding and always better than WCW's. And like it's just a great video that like just highlighted their relationship and the rivalry. Tremendous stuff. Really, really made you want to see the match. Because they didn't have a lot of interactions on TV. They had the one where like Nash beat up Shawn and like calmly put on his shades or whatever when he left. That was a nice segment at the end of a Raw. But just the videos this video was just excellent. It's a great video.
I'm a big proponent. I've said it on the grin. I don't care. I know minute by minutes matter. There is sometimes you have to sacrifice the short-term viewership for the long-term gain. A great video package is still valuable. I don't care. I'm sorry. I don't care what it can still do something, man. Like and it doesn't have to be for everything. But I think in this project, you've brought up multiple times where WWF killed it on that front. Like, it's a thing. You can do it. People remember those too. When we talked about Sean and Brett, people remember those video packages and the vignettes. Like, it's a thing. But, what do we know, huh? Okay, speaking of Sean, we know that up next for him, next month we'll be talking about he works Bulldog, right? Let's talk about Bulldog's push. And then Cornette taking best promo here as he has a lot. Maybe we should tally these up at some point because I feel like he'd be taking that one home. He cuts the promo on Sean. So let's talk about Bulldog's push as they get him ready for the next title challenger.
Yeah, so it looks like they've kind of, given Davey Boy another shot here. At this point, I think they kind of see him as like a solid like title challenger, but not a champion, right? Like, they see value in him. I think Vince loved using the Hart family stuff and like Diana, which is like, we'll get to this, but Diana just, I mean, this poor woman is just no personality whatsoever. Just the way she told Sean, on the segment I think we're about to cover, of like, you want me. The way she said it was just so like Canadian and like dry and like it's just like come on. Yeah. She slapped the taste out of Sean's mouth though. That was good.
Yeah, pop you, I bet. Pop me too.
Have you seen that segment?
I've seen a lot because
it's a good segment. It's actually a really good segment, but
because that In Your House is the one with like the Beware of Dog deal, right? Isn't that what that's the next, right? Isn't that next? Beware of Dog?
Yeah, Beware of Dog. Yeah. Yep. Dylan was at that one. Well, Dylan was at the retry.
God bless.
The power went out. Dylan was
because
at
I remember seeing the video for this because they played it, but we'll obviously talk about it next month. But yeah. Cornette's something, isn't he? I mean, again, we don't we understand all the reasons not to like Cornette, and I share a lot of them. But as a promo in 1996, good lord.
I mean, he just goes into this, heavy spiel on like Sean's philandering, which is not really a thing. No. It's more like that's actually a thing.
Kayfabe, brother.
Probably, but yeah, like he just rips Sean apart here. No breath. Full on, just no stumbling. It's just I bring it every time, but the guy he was a motor mouth and like everything just sort of came. It was like there's no pause. There's no like pregnant pause.
He's really quick, man. It's crazy. He's look, again, I get it. Verbally, he's very sharp in terms of how quickly he can dice folks up. Like, he's sharp. That's his skill,
Yeah.
right? Is what it is.
Yeah.
Yeah. This is interesting. Like, they do feel firmly cemented as like just a heel that will rest for the belts and not win them. But I know that when they get there, they kind of do a protection finish and all that stuff. So we'll get
Right.
into that when it comes. On the other side of the 60-minute WrestleMania match, we have Brett, he works the European tour and goes home, right? But they tape this particular
It's a
promo.
great video.
It's
He's on the
really
River
interesting.
Rhine, which is
Yeah.
great. Like, it
Talk
feels
about this
like
whole deal. Go ahead.
it's like this. I don't know. It's just something like Brett's just like standing like in his Brett outfit on the River Rhine, and like talking about how he's like bitter and like like upset about the way that he lost, and he makes good points, but it still comes off as like bitter, and like it's a really cool video, and it sets up his does a really good job of setting up for him to come back 6 months down the line. And
Sets up a lot, right? There's a lot here
it
because
does. It does. And like my favorite part of the whole thing is he's like, "Oh, I don't see myself ever going anywhere outside of the WWF." That's a great line because it's like, boy, oh boy.
Yeah, bless
That
him, man.
sets the
Because
stage for the next 18
it
months.
does, it gets real close that he's going to leave before he comes back, right? It gets real close, and obviously, famously, the 20-year contract and all this stuff, and it's been well documented. Everyone knows the story, but it's just so. Honestly, it's sad, but it's incredible to think about, like, where Brett stands at this point and how crazy things are going to get once he comes back. Like, it's a nuts run that's ahead of Brett, which it's wild, and obviously a lot of it's brutal. So, God bless the guy. But yeah, that video is tremendous. If you're a Brett fan, you've not seen it,
Yes, it's
I'd
awesome.
seek it out. It's so.
It's Brett
Honestly,
through and through.
It's so real that like it honestly feels like they've just interviewed him as a shoot.
Yes, he's so authentic. Like 90% of the time, though. Like you can tell when Brett's like having to like
Yes,
gimmick
you
it.
can. Isaac Yankem.
Yeah,
you can tell.
Yep.
Okay, as I mentioned, 4.5 stars for the main event on In Your House. The Ultimate Warrior and Goldust got a -3.5 star rating, which again I say this every show, but like it pops me huge that he has like levels of minus. Like 3.5 is so specific, It's incredible.
I don't understand it. It makes no sense, but it pops.
This is a like infamous feud, and best you can talk about it. And then the match itself. Go ahead, Warrior and Goldust.
Well, I mean, what a feud to have. I mean, was this a rib? Like with Warrior's homophobia and.
If you have to ask that, I always assume the answer is yes.
I mean, I would think. This was, this was not. Sorry, I think I discovered I have poison oak on my leg, and I think some on my chest right here. So
that sounds troublesome.
Yeah, that's fine. I think it's poison oak. Could be ivy. I think I might be immune to ivy now, but because I had it so much when I was a kid.
My God.
But
this all sounds really drastic. Am I missing something?
My medical issues again.
Carry on talking about the Ultimate Warrior.
Oh yeah. This rivalry was so. It popped me that they did it because it's like, of course they would do Goldust and Warrior.
Of course.
And like, I don't know. They had a segment on Raw where like Warrior was like desperately not trying to say the F word. And like he didn't, but like I was like waiting for him to say it,
Said it an awful lot in the decade after, I'd say that much for sure.
Yeah. And Dustin was great and it just like playing off the homophobia and like.
Well, he's a good wrestler, So
yeah, exactly. And the match was ridiculous. I mean, the whole thing was like Warrior was like putting on the robe and the wig and like doing a whole spectacle. It was trash. It was stupid. I don't know if you've ever seen it, but it was ridiculous.
I've only seen clips. Like, can you? And this is we don't need this now necessarily, but just quickly touch on it. Like, which is worse, like this comeback run or the WCW run for Warrior? Because he has like two of the worst runs in wrestling history. In like
this
2
one,
years, he
this
does
one
this.
was pretty bad. At least the Warrior run is like, or at least the WCW run is like kind of fun wrestle crap.
Bro,
This,
think about what Joe has just put in the comments. This is Warrior's lowest rated match on Cage Match. The Hogan match at Havoc is like an iconic bad match, and it's
oh
still
yeah, that's
higher
like
than
great
this.
wrestle crap that everybody's got to see at least once, right?
Yeah,
Like
and it's still higher than
that.
this.
Still, the best part of the Hogan thing is the mirror moment on backstage.
Yeah, that's good. Yeah.
The,
The only thing with that is though, like if that happened on SmackDown this week, like no, like Fed Twitter wouldn't even sell. They'd be like,
right.
yeah, sports
Yeah.
entertainment, you know.
Yeah.
The
Whatever.
first, do you remember on the Warrior documentary when like they were talking about him coming to WCW, and they keep saying this phrase of like he broke the one rule you never break in professional wrestling. Do you remember this? Like Hogan kept saying it on the documentary. Like, and I think they were talking about him going long. I don't fucking know what they were talking about, but that documentary is incredible. Like that. I mean, it's very justified, but it's like a full just attack on the dude. God bless. They should do more stuff like that now. You know,
It's funny now he's like a saint, but
it's insane. But that's yeah. You was good at transitions. I appreciate. I'll do it for us.
yeah.
A different topic for a different time. Bless Goldust, bless Dustin being in here with Warrior, but here's what it is. Okay, elsewhere on this show, Vader sends Razor Ramon packing. He does some other stuff this month too, but let's start with that. I actually want to seek this out because that matchup just intrigues me. And it seemed like it was pretty good from what I read. Oracle, how was Razor and Vader?
Pretty good. It
Good.
was. It was a good match. I've heard people praise it before.
Yeah.
It's not really talked about. People don't really. That's another thing. People at least talk about Shawn and Diesel some.
Yeah. Yeah.
People never talk about the Razor's last match.
You could convince me this match never happened, and I'd be like, yeah.
Yeah. It was just weird because like it felt just odd, like to see Razor come out to like the music and everything, and like you realize it's the last time he does it on like TV.
Yeah.
I don't know. It was just kind of weird, especially after his passing. It's just kind of weird to watch it. You know, it's just like this is the last time we saw the Razor Ramon character, like the original character. Like, good match though. Good match. Good finish. Vader like beat him with like a sit down bonsai drop. Like it was good.
Yeah. Have you just a quick kind of side deal here? But have you ever seen the what's that show they do on the network where they look at is it photographs? Like what is it called?
Something like
Photo
that.
shoot.
Yeah.
Have you ever seen Scott Hall's episode of that?
I think I have actually.
Brother, like the other day I went on the network to watch something and it was suggested because obviously Scott and I just put it on. They were very, very flawed, and you and I have dunked on some of the click shit because we're not fooled by the shoot interview rhetoric that they've like it's a lot of it you see through it. It is so interesting to me the attitude that generation of guys had in terms of like they really had this kind of drive to prove they were true WWF top guys.
Mm-hmm.
Is it kind of weird for you watching stuff in order? And again, like you've done 6-7 months now. Like seeing Razor and Diesel go, and they're both putting in good performances. It's like, listen, man, they became what they became. They actually took a lot of pride in their work in WWF, didn't they? And people forget that sometimes,
They did, yeah. Well, like it was just a paycheck at WCW, man. The money was good. That was it.
Yeah, and they always said that, to be clear too. If you watch any interviews, and look, we're WCW fans, right? But whenever they talk about it, they basically talk about like they sold their soul. Like they saw WWF as like it's interesting. I've seen Kevin Nash say the quote of like, WCW was a TV company, WWF was a wrestling company. It's like that quote now would confuse people so much, but what he means is it was run by wrestling people, and it was just weird how things changed. Anyway, elsewhere, Vader takes out poor Yokozuna. This was your best angle of the month. Is leading to a match at the aforementioned Boy of Dog. Talk us through this angle here with Yoko and Vader.
This was just a really good angle to kind of help get Vader a little bit more because he'd kind of been floundering for a little bit, and like it was just really well done. Yoko's selling of it was great. So like he really did break his leg. They had to get him out on a forklift because they couldn't get him on a stretcher. Ruled. This was a great. There were a couple good angles this month, and of course, we'll talk about it. Mankind's debut was awesome too.
Yeah.
But yeah, this was just a great angle to get Vader kind of back because at this point, I think it's clear they were setting Vader up for the summer because they knew at this point he was going to be Shawn's big challenger for SummerSlam. So this is kind of his
Yeah.
build to that.
Like a lamb to the slaughter, brother.
Yeah, and the funny thing is, Vader's fine through that Shawn match, and then
Yeah. I like the match too. The match is
the
really
match
good.
is good. It's just Shawn.
Yeah.
Vader
This
kind of
is
got
true.
blamed for it, I guess. I don't know.
And I think there's also an element of like, I don't know, man. Have you heard like the WWF guys talk about Vader like didn't know what he was doing? It's really weird. Like I've heard Austin talk about like, and look, bless Austin, but I remember him and Foley talking about Vader, and Foley was doing what Foley does, which he was like, he deserved better, and whatever. And I agree, obviously. But Austin was like, all of the guys in WWF, they just thought he like sold too much. They didn't respect him. I was like, what the fuck does that mean? Like, look at this coward. He wants to sell my shit. I don't know, man. It's weird. It's a weird deal with him in WWF because he's the man.
I don't know. Like he was so good. Like
Yeah.
I don't know what they're talking about.
Like, how do you miss it, right? Like he's a big
Yeah.
man that does all this awesome offense. He hits like he's just. I don't know. It's weird.
Yeah, I think people don't like working on him because he was stiff, and they just
I
found
do too.
reasons. I think they just
Yes.
found reasons to,
Yeah.
because Foley didn't give a fuck if
Exactly.
somebody was stiff. Foley didn't care.
Yeah, Brett. I
The
know
only
that
thing,
Brett.
the only thing Foley was mad about is, although he's right about that, is when he said he was mad at The Rock for not checking on him after he got his brains caved in front of his
Fair.
kids.
Yeah, very fair.
Right.
Yeah, Vader. He was someone that definitely clashed. I mean, Brett was pretty honest about like how hard it was to wrestle him. Right, like, he would just beat the shit out of you. Which, listen, I'm the one getting hit, so that's fair. But I agree with you. People they make up other stuff. Anyway, you mentioned the new talent. Let's get to some of that. Guys that are being this year here. Austin is doing the program with Savio Vega now. Of course, there's a famous match ahead, and I'm kind of sensed out here, but their feud is underway. Two guys that obviously had very different careers, but we both like them both very much, and their eventual match is one I adore. How's this feud going, Oracle?
It's going well. They're kind of becoming more of an intense rivalry. They've been brawling and going after each other and costing each other matches and stuff. And Austin cost Savio the RC title rematch. So they're kind of getting heated, setting up that strap match that we're going to get to that my brother was at, or the retry. He was at the one that aired, the one that we actually got to see.
This is going to sound crazy. Legitimately one of my favorite WWF matches. I fucking love that match.
Good.
I just love it. It's incredible, and it's such a weird version of Austin because he's like in the middle of runs.
Yeah, I saw it. I haven't seen it in 15 years. I saw it one time, I think.
I hadn't watched it properly.
Smart choice.
Genuinely, I hadn't watched it properly until a couple of years ago, and I've watched it like 4 or 5 times since. I just love. I think Savio Vega was really, really good. We talked about it before.
Great, dude. You got to watch him in Puerto Rico TNT.
I do.
Really good. He's really good.
I do. I'm terrible at that stuff, man. I used to be good at it, but now I do all these podcasts. I don't do.
I
don't do the diving. It's terrible.
And we get way too much on our plate that we put on our plate.
We put on exactly. Mark Mero is rocking and rolling. We put him over on every show here. He's adding a lot of the TV worker for the WWF. How is he doing, Oracle?
It's good, man. He's having good matches with fucking Kane and dude, the Isaac Yankem match was good.
Yeah.
He's a good match with he has another good match. Who was it that he wrestles? I'm gonna pull up Cage Match. Dadgummit.
Okay, this is gonna be fun because you can tell us what his rating is too on Cage Match.
Right, let's see.
Because it's gonna be like a 5 point something, right?
Oh, and I'm gonna rage.
Yeah, factual.
I can look at this. How are the Sixers doing?
Down 6 right now, pal. Make that 8.
Oh, that's nothing. 8 points ain't shit.
Doc Rivers has called a timeout. Jimmy Butler looks very sure of himself.
He's got a 6.20. I'll allow it. That's
6.20. That's higher than I thought it'd be, honestly.
I forgot he was in TNA for 2 months. Oh, that pops me.
I didn't know he was. That's incredible.
Yeah, dude. He back as Johnny B. Bad in TNA.
When?
He was at Victory late 04, like when they had their first 2 pay-per-views.
Wait, is this when Dusty got the pencil?
Yeah, it's like Johnny B. Bad. It was Eric Watts, Johnny B. Bad, Pat Kenny, and Ron Killings versus Dallas Kid Cash and the Naturals at Victory Road 2004.
What a match!
And then Johnny B. Bad and Pat Kenny versus the New York Connection of Glenn Gilberty and Johnny Swinger with special referee Jacqueline at Turning Point 2004.
Wow,
That
that's a
rules.
historical oracle for down the line.
That fucking fools.
Tremendous,
All right,
tremendous
let's
stuff.
see where he. Let's see
Are
here.
we looking for this elusive TV match?
Yes, let's see if I can find it.
Okay.
I'm
There's a
almost
lot of-
there. I'm almost there.
That's
I'm
fine.
almost there.
We got
He's.
the time, bro.
Let's see. All right. Let's see. Yes. All right. Leaf Cassidy, Al Snow. Yeah. He and Al Snow have a good match, man. Like his
My
like
God.
yeah, that match is good.
Kane and Al Snow, 2 fucking idiots in 1 month. Incredible. Great stuff.
Hey man, the Unabomber and Al Snow, great tag team in Smoky Mountain. That's a shoot, brother.
That's a real thing, yeah. I know. Al Snow, though, man. Just rough.
I know.
Okay.
Mick Foley making fun of him was always funny though.
It was, yeah. All right. Last thing here for the WWF. And it's a big thing. Mankind is here. He attacks The Undertaker, which is like, you talk about, things that will become much more important as time goes on. This is like a famous rivalry. And it's a time when they're kind of doing revolving door looking for guys that can just work Taker. Just so happens that we know Mick Foley's about to stick here as one of Taker's famed rivals. But this guy, the first point here, this big angle they shot, Oracle, talk us through it.
Yeah, this was outstanding. Mick debuts on the show as Mankind earlier on, wrestles a match, and he's so convincing. That was always the thing with Foley. He was convincing in everything he did. Like, even now, like, the Mankind character is, like, legitimately, like, disturbing and, like, creepy, and, like, he plays it so well. And, like, he does it so on a wrestling sense. Like, you believe the character, you believe the gimmick. Even Dude Love, which was like his weakest, right? It was still funny, like, and it was supposed to be, like, and you believed it. Like, I don't know, it's just really well done. The Mandible Claw, he makes it seem like an actually legitimate hold, which is like hard to do. It's the fucking Mandible Claw, but he makes it legit. And the attack on the Undertaker is just great in the aisle, and they do this great camera work when WWF used to have good production for Kevin Dunn. I guess chopped down too much wood or something with his teeth, but he deserves it. Sorry, that's mean, but he deserves it.
What popped me was I knew exactly what you were saying, but the fact that you felt the need to at the end with his teeth, as though it was so you hadn't done enough damage. Yeah, it's fine. Carry on.
But like, they do this great angle where, like, Mankind does his elbow drop, and they follow him down, like the camera angle from, like, camera gets low and, like, it's great camera angle, like, great camera work. Taker's like foaming out of the mouth. It's just a great angle, just great stuff. And they feud throughout the entirety of '96. And there's Paul Heyman turns, Paul Bearer turns, and two fat guys, totally different, but Percy Pringle, who was in a lot of ways more consistent than Heyman is, to be fair.
I love the way that suggests that you get them confused when you see them.
Well, they did feud in 2004, and Paul Heyman had him murdered in concrete. So, no, actually, Taker did it.
Taker did it, yeah.
That's awful. I remember looking up Great American Bash 04 when I was a kid. Like, funny story about that. My dad was a tutor, and it was like at the end of, it was like the last week of summer school or something. Because like he had July off. My dad was a teacher, so we were like, and I was like looking at like Great American Bash WWE.com, and they had not blocked WWE.com yet. And I was like looking through, and they're like Tori Wilson Sable bikini photos, and somebody was like, some other lady teacher was like, "What are you looking at?" And like, you can't look at that. I was like, I'm just trying to look at the results of, I didn't care about that shit, man. I was wanting to see if Mordecai won his match or whatever. I didn't care.
Is that JBL and Eddie, that show?
Yeah, Bull Rope. JBL won the title.
That finish is like, I get why it's kind of like cheap, but I think it's so awesome. That finish pops me huge. I can't.
Yeah.
You know, that's from Dusty, by the way. That finish.
Really?
Like Bruce again, folks. I do this every week, or every time we do this show. Do not trust Bruce Pritchard, but he tells good stories. He claims they needed a finish for that match, and they called Dusty. Dusty wasn't working with the company, but of course he has finishes for that. So that was his, I think. But there you go. We'll save that for the 2004 Great American Bash Historical Oracle. Yeah, Foley's awesome. Him and Taker are gonna, have a lot of stuff we're gonna talk about as we do this process. So there you go. All right, just to close here, Oracle on WWF. I think it goes without saying a big month for them, right? Their best month so far.
Yeah, sorry, I'm looking at my.
That's fine. You're good. The Poison Ivy that you referenced earlier.
Showing chest on my live on the
little racy, but
yeah, just a great month for them. Really good month, probably the best month overall for them, I think, since we started this project.
Yeah, certainly seems that way. Okay, let's move to the often victor of this thing, ECW. Just the one win for them this month. They had two big shows though. Massacre on Queens Boulevard as well as Hostile City Showdown. It was 2 weekends, right? One after the other.
Mm-hmm.
Let's start with the first. Makes sense. It was the first show of those two. It was eventful, to say the least. Let's get into your best angle of the month for ECW. A debut at this show of Devon Dudley.
Oh, man. Let me tell you.
I'm excited because I don't know what this is, but it being best angle is interesting to me. Go ahead.
This is simultaneously, it opens the show. It's the simultaneous debut of Devon Dudley and the debut of the Full-Blooded Italians. So JT Smith comes out with James Martato. What was Guido called at the time? I can't remember.
Oh.
And they come out together, and JT gets on the mic and he goes, "It's my cousin. It's my cousin." And like everybody's just like, okay, it's ridiculous. And like in beautiful fashion, Guido just like plays along and goes, "Yay, my cousin." They like kiss each other, do like the mob kiss. And like with the full-blooded Italians, my cousin little Guido. So he has this match. They had this match with it's like Bubba Ray and I can't remember what it is. Devon shows up, gets mad. He's like, Devon shows up, and because Bubba can't get his name out like usual, Devon goes, "I'm tired of you fucking." He drops the F-bomb like 7 times, and the people are going crazy because this guy's just showing up and like, dude. Devon's like does his whole spiel is like, "Thou shalt not fuck with the Dudley boys," and they like, let me tell you what, he fucking murders the FBI with chair shots. I mean, just totally violent.
Fuck it,
and
it's
like,
96.
Just, like beating. I mean, the Dudleys are destroying JT and Guido, just like tearing them apart with chair shots, beat the shit out of them. The end of the segment is incredible. JT goes on the mic. One of the greatest moments ever. My brother Dylan always does a great impression of it, but I'm going to do my best impression. JT gets on the mic and he goes, "Hey, that ain't nothing. That's nothing. That's nothing." And then get the Dudley boys out here. We're going to come out there. We're going to kick their friggin' ass. You know what I'm saying? And Devon and Bubba Ray come back down and fucking light them up again. Devon murderizes them with a chair. Later on, they continue this little feud for a little bit. Like at Hostile City Showdown, JT starts singing "Fly Me to the Moon" on the mic, and Devon just shows up and hits him in the head with a chair. Like it's incredible television. Like JT and Guido have a great cameo where they go and eat at like some like famous Philly cheesesteak place in Philadelphia, and Guido says he's had better cheesesteaks, and it's this whole on location skit that they have. It's just incredible. Like it's very politically incorrect, but it is a great undercard
It's
storyline.
ECW, right?
Yes.
It's um,
As the shirts say that the cameramen all wear or whatever, politically incorrect and proud of it.
yeah, indeed.
Yeah. That was one of the Heyman slogans,
You know, I have to say, and I know this is obvious and not like a particularly interesting talking point, but it does come to mind. It is like nuts to consider how much this route for the Dudleys, like how much money this eventually made both guys. Like
I
they were a
know.
team that made like top tier money for like 20 years.
Right. Oh yeah.
It's
Tope,
nuts.
it was Geno's. It was Geno's Tope, I
There you go.
believe.
Who knows?
Sorry, Joe.
No, you're fine. I just it amazes me sometimes that was probably not a big deal with Paulie. And it was like it just
Right.
it was a nice angle, and if only they'd have known what was ahead for them as a team. I'm not a huge Dudleys fan by any means, but like
Right.
they're one of the big
Yeah.
teams that everyone always brings up forever and ever, right? They're
Right.
iconic.
Oh yeah, absolutely.
It's just it's wild to look back at, and that's the thing with this project is we've done that so many times. We've been at the starting point of saying it's about to be like forever, basically. It's just interesting. Okay, on the very same night, we have our best match of the month too, Sabu and Mikey Whipwreck. Mikey has been someone you consistently like kind of showed love to, and same for Sabu, honestly. So I'm not surprised this is here. Talk us through it, Oracle.
Yeah, so it's like they go out and they just do crazy shit, right?
Yeah.
But I think both guys are good at selling, like really good at it. Even like especially Mikey, and they just, I don't know, it's just really fun to watch them like go out and do like their. I mean, like if they don't have this match here, I'm not just this one match. It's not like a famous match or anything, but like Mikey and Sabu or whatever doing their stuff. Like we don't see Jeff Hardy and Darby Allin from last night.
Right.
Like the matches they were having is the reason why we're getting Darby Allin doing fucking the craziest swanton off a ladder onto a fucking chair I've ever seen.
Yeah, nice.
That was one of the craziest spots I've ever seen. And boy, oh boy, was he hurting. Good Lord, you could tell.
Yeah, it was tough. Jeff, hell of a catch, though. Did his best,
Oh, yeah. Then Darby just decided to miss a coffin drop on the apron 2 minutes later.
Yeah,
and then you could tell he was like, that was not selling, brother. That was real.
How funny was like the way Jeff got himself ready to take the toe face suicida, the big dive. Like Jeff stood there like he had like a fucking he was like, I'm gonna be as tense as I possibly can be.
He was like a fucking wall, dude. Yeah. Like when Darby hit him, it was like, I mean, it wasn't even like there was no squat to it at all, man. It was like full on, like full impact right there, brother.
Mm-hmm. By the way, also while we're on this, quirky things that were funny on that show. I mentioned this earlier. How funny was Danhausen getting himself in position for Tony's like running knee thing? He looked terrified that Tony was going to kill him. He was
laughing about Danhausen.
Can you hear me? You said, oh, now I don't know what you can see, folks. This could be, folks. Tell me what you can see. Tell me what you can hear. You may not be able to hear me at all right now. In which case, I'm talking to no one. Tell me what's happening here, Oracle. I'm putting these different. Oracle said Joe's froze talking about Danhausen, and they went, oh. We can assume with him finding out he'd froze. I don't know. Someone clipped that. It was funny. Well, I'm not sure I'm going to have much luck talking you through ECW 1996, but I don't really want to do play-by-play for the Sixers either, so hopefully Oracle's back soon. He looks happy, doesn't he? Look how joyous he looks there, the Oracle of Wrestling. Bless his heart. Oh my God. All right, hopefully he'll return here shortly. It is a double shot, very difficult. I'm going to leave this overlay on because I'm too lazy to switch it off and then put it back on. Philadelphia 76ers fucking suck. I will take that back if they win, but they will not because they're cowards and losers. This is definitely not my attempt to reverse psychology because I'm sure they're listening right now on the bench. I'm sure Doc's got it fired up. He's probably devastated Oracle's froze. He's ready to dive into the Gangsters versus the Eliminators. Review Dynamite again until he gets fat, bro. I think I've explored Dynamite. You know, I'm devastated about this MJF deal, guys. I can't believe how many months we're going to have to talk about this situation. You know, all for him to go and work fucking Code Man on Raw. Terrible. Yeah, Doc's a piece of shit. He's not a Patron. He's a piece of shit. Another whole one-man show, maybe. I mean, I'm genuinely happy to stay until the top of the hour, so that's like minimum because I'm just sitting here. I'm not doing anything, but hopefully, is Saint Oracle is aware of the problem with. I sense it is by the fact that he said, "Oh," as if to say, "I am the one that's been fucking owned here." Do we start the banner on the Burt tomorrow, bro? I'm to be real. For those of you that are patrons, going to be on the Burt, watching the Burt. I appreciate you all. Let's keep the MJF talk to a minimum. We got so many months of it ahead. It's going to be intolerable, you know. And like to be clear, it's not because I don't think it's a big story. It is. It's just like from a podcast perspective, it's so hollow because ultimately we're talking about what a guy wants to do, right? You know, does he want? Yeah, I think he's Barry Mad died too, wasn't he? It's like, does he want to live the dream and work WWE? Does he want money? Either way, I really can add no insight to that. He's a guy making choices for himself, right? So you jinx Bob's pick by forgetting. Do not blame me for Bobby's pick. He should message me that he sent it to me rather than send it to me at like 4 p.m. That's all. He ripped his root out of the all just saying comment pop. Oh well, I'm sure it's fine. God, this team sucks. I just, you know. Yeah, that was pretty cool actually. We had Andrew Zarian like just randomly show up and post scoops in the chat. And then Monty tweeted them like he like spoke to him on the phone, popped me huge. I mean, he didn't really do that, but I like to make stuff up. Speaking of such, guys, did you see that picture of Julia Hart with the like sneaker in front of her eye? Fucking ruled. Oh my god. We're not doing anything in this game, man. That's a killer possession. Fucking killer. Anyway, Tony has 2 years to come to an agreement. Like, why do we have to act like this is a talking point? Look, I'll be honest, and this is just my read on it. And now I'm ribbing myself by talking about something that I just said I wouldn't. But Sean reporting it probably means there's a real story there, to be just totally frank. It's just not interesting enough to carry us through 2 years of discussion and debate. Literally, like, that's it. Like, do I think he will leave? I don't know. It's probably a thing. But it wouldn't be surprising to me, certainly. But do I care as of this point in May 2022? Not really. By not really, I mean no. It's whatever, man. Like I love the free agency stuff and I love the trade stuff, but like ultimately, the space and the landscape isn't rich enough to have really interesting conversations. It's one or the other, basically, for top guys. So it's more interesting about what they're doing. Like I'm genuinely enjoying watching Cody over there. But the last month of the Cody discourse before he came in, where it's just like us debating whether or not it was going to happen, it's just like, I don't know, man. It's just guesswork. I ain't got no sources, you know. We could watch Impact as a bit. That doesn't seem like something we should do, does it really, Cody? That seems spiteful. Sean Rossett appears to be close to MJF. This appears to be a leverage play by MJF. The only thing I'd say is, like, yes, but Sean, he's very careful with how he words things. He ain't like looking to have dudes in his mentions being like, you got worked, you know what I mean? So there's probably some people that have like co-signed that he's not particularly happy about the situation. That's what I would say. You know, and like I get it seems like a work, I do get it, but Sean's like Oracle's computer is restarting. Pop. Him putting his name to it, I think, is, you know, probably an indication there's a story there. How much that'll matter in 2 years, I have no idea. I said this on the recipe, so I'm not even doing a bit. I think we get way stuck, like lost on one talent and going this way and that way. I really do. Maybe I'm being dismissive, but I think when you have a roster of 100 guys, like the idea that it would actually be like earth shattering, I kind of think's insane. But maybe that's me being cynical. I don't know. The Sixers still suck. Oracle should be back soon. I appreciate can confirm cure issues. I appreciate that. But yeah, MJF is in the news a lot. Say how much for sure. There are hockey ads now, which feels like a taunt. I don't think any one guy would take AEW at this point, brother. I'm confident in saying there is no fucking way. That core audience they've got is probably just going to watch the show moving forward. They may go down because cable's going down, rather than because they actually went up the last year, which is impressive because that's hard. Generally speaking, though, that audience is into not only the product, but they're actually into the idea of AEW. No one dude represents that. It's nice to imagine it that way because they're a new company and want to represent something, can stand for something. Ultimately, they stand for the idea of an alternative. And what an alternative means is competition. And what competition means is wrestlers going back and forth. People are into their favorite company more than ever now. There is no wrestler that's going to make big money, big viewership moves either way. Now, if you're a fan of MJF, which a lot of you are and probably should be, you can say, I think I'd enjoy Dynamite less without him. That's logical. There's nothing wrong with that. I agree with that, actually. I think he's been great this year. I have no problem with that as an opinion. I think he would make WWE TV better, and him leaving would make AEW TV worse. All fine. But in the actual big picture, what does that matter? I don't think a lot. Ultimately, AEW needs to produce 3 good hours of TV every week. I don't think that relies on any one dude, simply put. But I know that's not like a sexy take. I wish I had something more expansive for you guys, but that's all I got, unfortunately. Cody says AEW's numbers were quite surprising, to be honest. I didn't actually see them, so you could post and that pop me. God, we're reviewing this fucking foul call over and over again. Listen, I understand wanting to get these things right, but good Lord. It takes a lifetime. Okay. Let's talk some Sam Joe. I loved his promo last night. The gargantuan protege, Pop. They're in the 800K range. I guess playoffs, right? I don't know, I'm not an expert on it, to honestly, Cody, but I guess playoffs. I'm intrigued. What was you surprised that lower or higher? I'm intrigued. Playoffs probably kicking the shit out of them. And that's the thing is, like, you getting on TBS, you don't get moved for the playoffs, but you're competing with the NBA playoffs. So, yeah, it's tough. Wrestling's doing fine, though. I agree with Punk's read on, like, live attendance is really encouraging, you know? Really is. I think TVs, you don't get lost in that stuff. I think it can paint many different, God forbid I use the word narratives, but I think it can. I think it can be kind of a very inaccurate sign on terms of how things are trending. I think the audience you really want to actually tap into is probably not even going to affect those numbers, frankly. But again, what the fuck do I know? Oh, God. There you go. Lower, it didn't seem to hurt Raw and NXT numbers this week, but I agree it doesn't really matter. Look at the arenas and pay-per-view numbers. Oh, it's lower than you expect. Okay, I understand. It was a strong show. I don't disagree with you. 800K range. I think, and this is what I'm kind of like getting at, is like, here he is. The great man, the Oracle of Wrestling. Dude, that was incredible. You said to me, you're freezing. And I was like, I don't think I am. And then you went, oh. And as you said, because you obviously realized it was on your end, you immediately cut out. You just start like in mid excitement. How are you, pal?
I'm good.
Good.
It's probably time for a new laptop at some point. This thing's like 5.5 years old. Thanks for holding the fort down. Hopefully this
That's right.
you know what it was? It was that Danhausen. He fucking cursed it or something.
Bro, I swear to you, my leading thing, I was like, I'll stay here, obviously, and wait. I was like, it's not talk about MJF, and just immediately went into like 10 minutes.
Am I going away again? I paused for a second.
Yeah, you did. You're fine now. You're back. Okay. Let's proceed here, Oracle. You're right. It was Danhausen's fault. Back to what we got here. Oh yeah, Matthew Quinn
ECW.
Boulevard. I have to click on where I'm at now. The main event, the Gangsters became the number one contenders, right? Which sets up you with the Eliminators. And based on your notes, some of the things that I've read as I kind of try to piece together what was going on here, this appears to be quite the feud. Speaking of such, before you go on this, collectively, the Gangsters promos, just as a sort of unit, take the promotion's best promos of the month. Oracle, talk us through this wild feud here.
I mean, it's basically like a street gang feud,
Mm-hmm.
and it rules. It's basically a street feud. It's basically what it is, and they like attack each other. At one point, the Eliminators like put New Jack between two tables and give him total elimination between two tables, and it fucking rules. They like interfere in like undercard matches and like call each other out, and they like brawl over the building, and like it's tremendous stuff. It's one of the great like ECW feuds that people don't talk about because the Gangsters don't have good match or whatever, but who cares, man? It's fucking rules.
Yeah, I understand that. It's never the intention to have freestyle matches, right? It is what it is.
Yeah.
Okay. Elsewhere, Missy Hyatt is present on these shows alongside Sandman, which you kind of talked us through that whole. Explain her kind of where she's at on ECW TV at this point, Oracle.
She's basically like she's Sandman's manager and Scorpio's too, I guess. And it's about the most sexualized version of Missy ever. I think it's pretty close to being the most sexualized version of her.
Shocker.
I mean, it's just sexual innuendo after sexual innuendo, and like blowing cigarette smoke in Sandman's mouth, and all kinds of all kinds of stuff like that.
Classic Paulie.
Oh yeah, scantily clad and all that. Missy's a good promo.
Yes.
She really is. It's just a little absurd.
Am I like? It feels like she could have like done something better than a lot of the stuff she did.
Yeah.
A lot of her stuff's like just like it doesn't have a chance to begin with, right? It feels like to me anyway. Looking back, I don't know.
She always seems likable to me on Twitter.
Yeah. Yes, she's gone on Twitter. Did she? What happened with the GCW thing? Has that happened? Did she do that?
She was there, I think, right?
Okay, good. I don't watch it.
Yeah, neither do
I just see the posters. Okay, let's move forward here. Okay, that would be good. Okay, Hostile City Showdown. The main event here. The main event here is the aforementioned Shane Douglas Raven match, right, for the title. Now, there's an angle here that comes after, right? Am I right in saying Douglas? Okay, what's about separately?
Well, before. Oh, it happens before, actually, before the match.
Can you talk us through the angle?
Okay, which angle are you talking about?
I'm talking about the heel turn.
Oh yeah, heel turn itself. You're not talking about the big
No, I was talking about the heel turn.
Scandalous angle.
All right, well, let's do this. Explain that, whatever you're referencing, because that sounds outrageous. Okay. Then we'll talk about the match, then we'll do the post-match. Go ahead.
Well, I think I put it in all caps.
Yes.
I'll do them both. I'm hardcore.
Of course, that's in this. My apologies.
Yeah.
Okay, let's do that now and then. Good call. Okay, go ahead, pal.
So, I put that in my notes, folks. I'll do them both. I'm hardcore, whatever. In all caps. That's what I put in the notes.
Mm-hmm.
So Shane Douglas reveals that Beulah lied about her pregnancy, and that she is having an affair on Tommy, cheating on him. Tommy wants to know who it is. He's all upset. It's Kimona Wanalea. Kimona and Beulah kiss, make out. Tommy seems confused and befuddled, and all the miscreants in Philadelphia cheer wildly. Tommy just goes over by them both and, well, pulls them by their hair and says, I'll do them both. I'm hardcore. And we have a 3-way makeout session. And I'm sure Paul Heyman was gloriously cheering in the back over this.
Oh, yeah.
and of course the crowd loved it. And Tommy left the ringside with both women, and
Mm-hmm.
we finally got to Shane Douglas and Raven. Lots
Yeah.
of smoke and mirrors in this one.
There's a surprise.
Um, Tommy tries to help Shane Douglas. Douglas doesn't like that. Beats up Tommy Dreamer at one point. So all this interference and stuff ends up costing Shane Douglas the match. He's mad
Mhm.
afterwards, cuts a promo and says, "I want to be World Heavyweight Champion. That's the only championship I care about. I'm chasing it. I want it so badly." So on and so forth. He's mad. Too Cold Scorpio comes out and says, "Now hold on a second. I think you're disrespecting me in the television championship. I'm the world television champion. I've been holding things down here, having great matches, so on and so forth. This is a prestigious title.
Mhm.
Eddie Guerrero, Dean Malenko, so on and so forth have held this title. Why are you dissing this title?" And Shane Douglas goes, "I don't care about the undercard belts. I don't care about TV. I'm going for world titles." And
But he loves saying that.
yeah, Scorpio goes after him again, talks trash and whatever, and says, I'm gonna challenge you to a match. I want you to wrestle me." And Shane Douglas goes, "No, no, no, no." And then Scorpio turns around and Douglas attacks him from behind and beats the shit out of him and whips him with the TV title, and Pile drives him, and then Sandman tries to make a save, and Shane Douglas beats up Sandman. Sandman and Scorpio tag partners, and Shane Douglas ends up agreeing to a match, and so that sets up Matter of Respect on May 11th, which is a great match.
Oh, wow.
For the TV title. One of the best ECW matches of all time, actually. Yes, it's that good.
Oh, my God. Okay. That's got me fired. That idea has popped me. Okay.
Yeah.
I need to investigate this. All right. How, I know you said there was smoke mirrors. How actually was the match with Raven? Have interest?
It's okay. It's okay.
Yeah. Is that how you would describe most of Raven's matches as world champ?
Pretty much. I actually like Raven in the first half of 2000s pretty well. Like no joke. Like mid 2000s after he leaves WWE. I think he's fun in a Ring of Honor and early TNA. Like totally legit.
I don't think that's
like the best Raven ever is.
Yeah.
I actually like WCW Raven okay too, actually. I actually like his matches with Perry Saturn and Goldberg and the tag team with Saturn and stuff. I think he's good in WCW.
Which tag match does he have with Saturn? It's like a southern tag, like a throwback.
Oh, it's like against Benoit and Malenko, I think.
Yeah, is that like
right?
99?
That's yep. It's 99. I think it's like Spring Stampede or
Stampede 99. I think it is. Yeah.
It's
like an old school. Yeah, it's
great match. Yeah.
Yeah, so that's one of those lost ones. Very, very good. Okay, let's move forward here. On the same show, mentioned Sabu earlier. He wrestles Van Dam. This feud is getting going here, and obviously this is a famous pairing in a range of different ways, right? Early days for Heroical. How's it looking?
Their matches or whatever. Like I've never been big on their matches. I like them as a tag team more later on in the year, even though a lot of people don't like those matches either. But I like the Eliminators feud. Yeah, it's just whatever. It's more known for just getting RVD in the spotlight, and he kind of becomes a star and just is around forever after that.
It's so Shoot made this joke, and I adore this because it's so true. But Bobby's like a big Van Dam fan. There's nothing wrong with that. A lot of people are, right? Van Dam's cool.
I loved RVD when I was a kid.
There you go. And Shoot, I never forget he said it on the grid. He was like,
Alex loves RVD.
There you go. I remember Shoot said it on the grid. He was like, it's so hilarious. If only people knew what critics said about Van Dam's work. And honestly, a lot of those criticisms hold up completely true. They weren't full bullshit or anything. It's just so intriguing how kind history can be in some ways. And listen, he's a pro wrestler. I'm not saying they're missing some great crime he committed by not selling, but it is interesting, right? It feels like in history, Van Dam is positioned as one of the great in-ring guys. And I don't know if that was ever the case beyond that he could do some cool shit. Am I being unfair?
RVD's the best RVD matches are the ones where he just takes crazy bumps on his head. He has a match against Doug Furnas.
The head bumps are incredible.
He has a match against Doug Furnas in ECW in the arena later on in '96. That's awesome. It's just RVD getting dumped on his head. He's great with that stuff. All those matches rule.
is he like the best ever in terms of taking like innocuous moves on his head? Like he'll take
Yeah.
like a fucking like the RKO he used to take on top of his head.
Oh, I know. That was yes.
Yeah.
Lunatic, dude.
The closest anyone, this is not me doing a bit, but genuinely, the closest anyone has come since then was when Buddy was a cruiserweight. Do you remember how often that would bump on the top of his fucking head? It was like borderline
yeah.
scary.
Yeah. I mean, RVD, look, RVD, I saw the popularity of it. I remember RVD because I watched CCW 2000 some. I remember all that shit. Like, I didn't see his rise in 98, 99. I'm not quite old enough to see that. But, I mean, I was, but I wasn't watching at the time. I was kindergarten. Like, I wasn't paying attention to fucking ECW. If I had been watching wrestling, I probably wouldn't have watched much of that. I probably would have seen some of it because my brother, but like I wouldn't have been.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I saw RVD, in late ECW and in his WWF run, and he was a great athlete and did a lot of cool shit, right? But like his mental game in terms of wrestling was not strong at all.
I guess what I'm saying is, and let me be very clear, this doesn't matter because a lot of my wrestlers I love are like this. He's more a star than a great worker, is what I'm saying.
Mm-hmm.
And let's be very clear, they're a lot rarer.
Super over, man. Like,
yeah.
I think Vince was shocked at how over he got, and that's why he put him in that triple threat match at No Mercy.
Like, when I ask Grover questions, I'm only doing it because I know he's seen such an immense amount of pro wrestling that we're talking like on a very nerd level. You and I have like, how good are they actually just belt to belt? We're both aware there's a lot more important things, right? But we just do it with Raven. Like it is what it is. You just kind of isolate sometimes. We did it with Taz. Speaking of him, he worked Devon Storm on this show, which popped me. Taz,
Crowbar.
we had a dark classic last year. Where are we at with Taz at this point?
Taz is kind of, I've mentioned it last month, and it's still kind of the case. It's kind of running in place a little bit. Like I'm kind of wanting a little bit more progression here. I know we're gonna get like when he starts to get into a little more of the shoot fights and stuff. It kind of rules. Like I think he has one with Jericho on one of these shows, and like that stuff pops me because I'm sorry, Joe. What happened?
No, they fucking suck. Carry on, I'm turning off.
Buddy.
Carry on.
I'm sorry.
It's over. Carry on, pal.
But I have to give Joe a moment here. Got
my full attention now. I can't watch any more of that shit.
So it's just I'm wanting to see some progression here, and I'm not quite getting that.
Yeah.
I appreciate to see the more competitive matches, but it's like, and I love the Team Taz debuts, like Chris Chetty and all the people in the towels, whatever. They all debut one of these shows, and that's cool. And that adds another element to his character. But Taz was kind of the first, not necessarily, but he was kind of one of the first guys to kind of do like the catch point type deal, right? Of course, he's going to have his famous little program with Paul Varlins, whatever his name is. Where there's a interesting story on that. If you've ever heard it,
I haven't. I remember him like touching on it. I remember him touching on some of this stuff, but when he used to have his pod, but I don't know what the true towel is. Maybe we'll get into that soon. Yeah, I don't know. Or is it stuff that's not suitable for this platform?
Well, it just involves Missy Hyatt.
Oh well, maybe it isn't stuff suitable
and a
for
real
this
shooter agreeing to put Taz over for certain favors.
Oh yes, I remember him alluding to that. Yeah, I understand that. Yeah.
Although I don't know if that's been fully confirmed, but that's always been a
I remember. I can't remember who I've heard talk about. Yeah.
So like when he gets into the shoot fighting stuff, even though it's silly because it's Taz, like he has like a cool angle with Kurt Angle at the end of the year, where like Angle confronts him or whatever, which is always insane. People forget about that because Kurt Angle was so appalled by the crucifixion angle.
Yeah.
Raven and Sandman that he was like, I'm never working here again. Kurt Angle of all people said that. And then, 10 years later, he talks about how he wants to fuck Charmel. So, he wants to have bestiality sex with Charmel. So, I mean.
I'd never thought about those two things.
Like, listen, if someone's super Christian, super religious, whatever, and they're more offended, but like, to me, that's just as offensive as a crucifixion angle. Like,
He
no,
did a lot.
neither one offends me. I think both are ridiculous.
Yeah.
But like, to me, the way I see it, they're both just equally.
He did do some crazy shit on like every TV show he was on after that. I didn't really consider that, but yeah, I guess it's it's different. I don't know. Tommy Dreamer, you mentioned him earlier, very famous deal that he had this month, but he also had a feud with Brian Lee. Oracle, how was this?
Taker's
Yeah.
buddy Brian Lee's around and cutting promos and Brian Lee accent. And all
Am I
that
missing
stuff.
something with him or like?
Not really.
No, because
No.
he was
He's
big
okay
pushing.
in Smoky Mountain, but
Yeah, that was his big run, right? He got a big push there.
He and Candido and Tammy.
Yeah, but yeah, when I saw in the notes Tommy Dreamer Brian Lee feud, I was like,
yeah,
not one of these things that be revisited, I guess.
Right.
Okay, there you go. ECW's month. Obviously, said they kind of stepped down slightly, but still good stuff.
Yeah. Oh yeah. It's a good month.
Okay. Right. Let's move forward here. World Championship Wrestling. They did not come empty-handed, not leave empty-handed, I should say. They did take the last week, which is a kind of famed Nitro, right? It's the recorded, with the title changes, and we'll get into that very shortly. That's important because there is no pay-per-view this month, right? You brought this up to me, and I always forget Stampede just goes away at some point.
Yeah.
Which is weird because I always think of Stampede as being one of the big ones, but
Well,
clearly Bish didn't agree.
It debuted in '94.
Yeah.
And
exactly.
Then they finally brought it back in '97. Yeah.
I think I love '94 so much. I've like retroactively convinced myself it was a
and
big
then
deal.
'99 is like the last great WCW pay-per-view.
Yeah.
So everybody thinks of it as a big show, right?
Yeah, exactly right.
Like,
yeah.
So it's just kind of bookended by those. And spring 2000s. I mean, we get it, but spring Stampede 2000 was the reboot pay-per-view. I mean, the Nitro was a reboot, but that had all the title matches and tournaments and stuff. So I think people always kind of look at it, as like as a big deal.
Yes, it's interesting. Okay, so we've moved. Uncensored was the last pay-per-view. There's not one this month. Obviously, Uncensored is famous for, if you missed it on the last episode, the Hulkamania, the Alliance to End. There's a lot. Okay, go back and watch it. There's a lot. So speaking of such, that program is coming to a merciful end here. Has come to, it's concluding.
Yeah.
Oracle, speak through the final pieces of this. Genuinely, like one of the worst feuds in wrestling history.
Hogan ends up getting like a handicap match with Arn and Sullivan and gets his hands on Jimmy Hart or some horse shit. You get to hear American Made one last time. Great song. That was the best part. He's American made.
I love your fandom of that song.
Fucking rules, dude. Every theme Hogan ever had ruled. Eye of the Tiger, Real American, American Made.
This isn't better
Jimi
than
Hendrix,
Real
Voodoo
American,
Child, the NWO theme.
Okay, but hang on. Let's be clear. This is not better than Real American, right?
No.
Okay, good.
Real American's better.
Yeah.
The best is, to me, is objectively Voodoo Child. But that's because Jimi Hendrix and he fucking rules.
Yes. That's like when people say, what's your favorite wrestling theme? It's like the real songs that have been bought by AEW.
Yeah.
Because I'm not a fucking lunatic. Mm-hmm. It's different, but I agree with you. A fitting end for a truly terrible professional wrestling program. Okay. Now, with no pay-per-view, as I mentioned, there is that memorable Nitro that closes out the month. It's the last week of the month, right? It's taped on the... Yeah, so there's a title change. The Giant regains the title. He beats Ric Flair. Talk us through this whole deal and kind of set the stage for what this Nitro is, because it is a particularly loaded show.
They set it up where, like, they've been doing this thing where they're throwing coffee, like, on people, and, like, Flair tries to throw coffee. I think he throws it on Randy Savage in a match or something. Like, he tries to throw it on Savage again in a match or Sting or whatever, and they duck and it hits Giant, and that sets up the title match. And Flair does this great promo, like, and I'm tired of it. And he's like, and I don't like the way you look at the ladies anyways. And so,
that was the one that you give best promo to, right? I thought so.
Or that was, I think that was it. Or it might have been another one. He cut a bunch of I think it might have been the one the night of where he came out and was like just being absurd, and woman's like rubbing Gene's chin, and it's a whole ordeal.
Gene's, the way he would sell that stuff was
I know.
it was so ridiculous, and only he could pull it off. It was incredible.
Exactly. The match was whatever.
Yeah.
It was crazy because Giant just like he gets put in the figure 4, and then he just like puts a choke on it and no sells it and just chokes in his flare. I was like, oh my god, like
yeah,
it was actually kind of surreal to watch because like this is like 96, like, and I mean I know it's like past Flair's prime or whatever, but like people didn't know sell the figure 4 really that much.
Yeah,
I mean like even when Sting would like do his thing out of it or whatever, like he wasn't it was Sting, but like it wasn't like, I mean, Giant, tall Paul just got that choke slam up, and he literally got him in a choke hold, broke out of the figure 4 and like choke slammed him and pinned him for the title.
That is wild. This kind of run is like.
Have you seen the match? You probably have.
Yeah, I've definitely seen it. I don't remember it well, but I think that's more due to exactly. I think
that's
more due to what the match was than. Yeah. But this reign is kind of like because they don't know this at the time, but in a couple months it becomes obvious that like they need to get the belt on Hogan because fuck, you've just shot this angle. Like, so it kind of is like it's a weird like reign he has here, right? Because
he ends up feuding with Luger and Sting, and
right, yeah, he has the weird he has like the title defense against Hammer right against Valentine because they have to put a replacement in. Remember that?
Oh God, I
forgot about that. I can't remember who gets injured. Someone gets injured, so they have Greg the Hammer. He wrestles with like Disney, like it beats him in 6 minutes or whatever.
That fucking rules.
Yeah, that's good shit.
96 Hammer Valentine. We should watch a series of those.
We should actually, on that note, because this is fitting, we should do another Grindication soon. That was a great deal that we had, and we've had our schedule changed. Yeah. We should bring that back.
Yeah, C-shows.
Yeah, definitely. That was good shit.
Yeah.
Okay, so title change now. Let's stay with Flair, because he's all over these shows. Because consistently in WCW history, they would reach a point, and it legitimately happened like every year, where it's like, fuck, we just need Flair. Like, just Flair will figure it out. Especially with Hogan, he's not going to be around as much. So he's doing stuff with Savage. Him and Liz like steal his money, and Savage does the threats to WCW. There's a lot here. Your best angle is wrapped in here on the Savage side of things. The best you can explain this deal here. By the way, these two at this point have been feuding for legitimately like a year. They've been just fighting each other for like a year.
So basically, like. They basically turn like Savage and Liz's divorce into like an angle.
Yeah.
Or like Liz is like winning his money in court or something. And like now they're like flaunting his money around, and Flair and Woman and Liz are like throwing money to the fans and shit. Like Savage has like lost it. It's just too much, And so he's like beating the shit out of Hugh Morris and attacking officials. Like he beats the shit out of Nick Patrick. Beats the shit out of like Randy Anderson. I mean, he's just they give him flying elbow drops to Randy Anderson. It's just funny as hell. And like he's like threatening WCW. They had the one guy up. Who was that guy? Who was it they had up there? The official. I can't remember who it was.
I don't know.
They had him up there, and he's threatening them. And like this person has to like clearly is not well versed in like wrestling acting. So like they're just like having to like play off of Randy Savage's like full gimmick, because Randy was basically in full gimmick all the time.
Of course,
you have to.
Of course, he is, right?
So you have to. It's just amusing to watch. It's a fun little like it adds a different element to the feud. It's fun to watch. It's not must-see TV or anything, but
they're just a really unique matchup of Flair and Savage, and I get why they keep going back to it because.
Now,
they're legends.
It's key, and I'll bring it up when we go to talk about May here in a few weeks, but they're now going to be teaming up at Slamboree.
Yeah.
In the Battle Ball, because Battle Ball is a Slamboree, and there's a hilarious Nitro where like Okerlund's out with like card girls or something, and he like reads out, and they like break open envelopes to read who's teaming with each other, and like the whole Nitro crowd's sitting in silence, and Okerlund's like trying to carry this shit. He's like, oh my goodness. And he has to sell like, well, Lord Steven Regal and the Belfast Bruiser Family are teaming up, Yeah,
That's
so
why he
like
gets paid the
Stella.
big bucks, brother. That's why he gets
Yeah.
paid the big bucks. Flair and Savage is such a unique matchup in that, like, they are both genuine legends at this point that have
Mhm.
been like top guys for a decade, but they're both fucking insane and like they're so wacky and over the top and absurd. But
Mhm.
they can both still have good matches when it counts. I mean, obviously, Flair is Savage is at a different point to me in my mind anyway. Maybe because
Right.
Flair continues to wrestle for another 15 fucking years, which was a mistake. But anyway, um, yeah, it's just they're a wacky matchup. They're a fun matchup. They're good TV, basically, right? This is the
Mhm.
key here. You mentioned it, so let's jump ahead to that actually. Slamboree is that's the last Battle Bowl, right? They do it at Slamboree. That's the last one? This is obviously something we're getting to more, next month. But the build is underway for the famed Battle Bowl concept. And how's it going, Oracle?
Well,
Yeah, I do. Yeah,
their shows are always fun to watch because to me they're like a breeze to watch because it's like
yeah,
random teams team up together, whatever. I don't know. I've always enjoyed like they're not good, but like
yeah. They're fun.
they feel non-canon, so it's just like you just watch them for whatever they
Mhm.
are.
Yeah, I like stuff like this. As like, I would genuinely pop if this was like
I
resurrected.
think it would have been better if they just did it as like a Clash of the Champions instead of a fucking pay per
That's
view.
exactly. I was like,
Yeah.
the Battle of the Belt deals. If they were 2 hours, I would pop huge for this being like one of those shows.
Mm-hmm.
You
Yeah.
just do like concepts.
Yeah.
It can be fun. I don't know if this this particular time was the talent that really was into the idea, but like today's guys would really go for it. They
Mm-hmm.
would make the most of it. Did we talk about Flair being in pursuit of Devin McMichael, or is that just another Flair thing that we didn't even
Oh
get to
yes,
yet?
that's a thing that's important, right?
Yes, exactly. So
Because
you
it
didn't
sets
touch
up
on
the
it, right?
Steve Mongo McMichael.
Hmm. Yeah,
Sets up
indeed.
Flair and Arn versus Mongo and Kevin Green, and of course
Changes
Mongo
everything,
will,
brother.
will turn on that show and at the Great American Bash and join the Horsemen. But
Which rules, by the way. The
yeah,
execution of that is fucking incredible.
yes,
Like the facials on Mongo. Fuck.
yes.
Yeah, extraordinary. Flair is
Mongo's
all over this
incredible.
thing,
God
man.
bless Mongo. His health is
Yeah, he's
not great,
struggling.
but
Bless
it's
him.
I legitimately like. I look. I think he was a good pro wrestler.
Yes.
Terrible worker. Terrible worker.
Yeah,
Don't get me
yeah.
wrong. Terrible worker.
No, I know
Okay,
what you mean.
but I legitimately think he was a good pro wrestler.
Yeah.
I legitimately feel that way.
Hmm.
People can bury me all the fuck they want. He fucking ruled.
No, I think people understand what your definition is there.
Yeah.
It's like he was entertaining,
Yes.
and when he was on the TV screen, you enjoyed his presence. At that point, he's a good pro wrestler.
Exactly.
While being a terrible in ring, technician or mechanic,
Right.
or just terrible in ring generally, really. But it's yeah, I get you. It's wild that there's like 10 notes this month, and Flair is like 6 of them. So you can tell Sullivan with a pencil is just like
Yeah.
figure it out, like it'll be fine. It happens a lot. It really does. They go back to it in like, fuck, man, they do it in 2000 in the summer at one point when they're doing the David Flair shit. He's like the main character on the show. It's
Oh,
wild.
I know.
It's absolutely wild. That's a historical oracle many, many months away. Going back to that Nitro, the kind of super Nitro, it closes out the month. It features their best match. One that I feel like people remember this fondly, right? I feel like it's still people, Finley and Regal, parking lot brawl. Talk about their feud, considering obviously we talk about a lot the uncensored match. Talk about their feud and then this match, which is like, I want to say this was ahead of its time, but it is not lost on me that you just had the Mania deal with, the first portion of
Mhm.
Goldust,
Right.
right? Which I didn't, when I watched this before, I didn't think about that, but
Mhm.
nonetheless, it's a memorable deal. Let's talk about it. Go ahead.
I just like the way they shot it, and like
Yeah.
the commentary is fun because Bischoff is freaking out because of the blood. He was like, "Please do not get a close-up shot. Please back away." It was hilarious. Like, they're over here like they're beating the shit out of each other in this parking lot. It's just brutal. It's awesome. It rules. Taking crazy bumps into the car, glass, blood, like an actual fucking fight. And of course, at the end of the match, Heenan goes, "Wait, that's my car," because it's Heenan. It's
Bish doesn't even like sell his shit either. Bischoff just like continues forward. Like there's such a weird dynamic, right? Like they worked together on that show for a year, and at no point do they feel like they're actually listening to each other.
right.
They're just talking at each other. Like it's a strange dynamic. Man, this is fun stuff. Regal and Finley, and It did pop. By the way, how much did it pop your Oracle last night when Regal did a little bit of physicality for a little left hand last
dude,
night?
that looked awesome. Jericho sold it beautifully too. You know, Jericho loves Regal. He's sell the hell out of that.
Love it. Absolutely love it. Okay. We have also on that show is the tag champs, Sting and Luger. I believe they Harlem Heat they wrestled that night, right? On that one, where are we at with Sting and Luger? This is a story that obviously people remember very fondly, but Luger's particular character arc has been slightly affected by the fact that they did the uncensored thing we talked about. So where are we at this point with those guys?
So like they've been babyface tag team for a while, but now they've got this deal where like I don't know. We'll get into it in May more, but like Luger's like not showing up for title matches and shit, and like
Pop.
now they've got this whole deal where he's he's supposed to, I think he wrestles. Well, I think it's Giant Sting at Slamboree, and then it's Giant Luger at Great American Bash.
There you go. Yeah.
But like Luger's not showing up, and like he and Sting are arguing. Sting's like, "Why are you at your title matches?" And Luger's like, "You never had a car breakdown." Pretty funny. But yeah, well, it gets more, and that's more at the beginning of May, but it kind of starts at the end of April, I think. So
there you go. Now they do have some new contenders in town, Oracle. Fire and Ice are here in World Championship Wrestling. They're the kind of team. This is how you separate the men from the boys when it comes to WCW. Because if someone doesn't pop for Fire and Ice, they ain't watched it. They don't know what's going on over there. Because this is one of those WCW acts that you hang out on. And so this is when it used to be better, brother. It used to be better. Fire and Ice. Oracle, talk us through their early days here as Tandem. Go ahead.
Fucking rolled, man. Like two big dudes, muscly and like fucking like testosterone, like steroid injections, and like doing like they're fucking feeding me the Steiners and shit. Fucking rules. And they last like 4 months and they break up. Scott Norton had some great tag team names, didn't he? Fire and Ice, Vicious and Delicious. Great tag names.
Which one's better?
What, like what tag team's better?
Which tag team name? That's more interesting.
They're both really good.
Yeah. In different ways, right?
Mm-hmm.
Vicious and Delicious is fucking incredible.
Oh, yeah.
That's extraordinary. I think that's more daring. I think I have to give props to that one.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Fire and Ice it genuinely is like an act that I feel like they existed for years.
Yeah.
Because
I know, but
he seems to wrestle so many matches in this little stint,
Yeah. Yeah. Then they have a feud, and they have like a submission match at like fucking Sturgis. You know what I'm talking about?
Oh no. I had forgotten about that. Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh.
Match ain't that bad. It's just like
it's just an insane idea. Like imagine doing that.
Absurd. It's like let's throw this match out in the mid card of fucking Sturgis and these bikers. No, I'm sure they'll love it.
God bless WCW.
That show's hilarious because it has like Akira Hokuto and Medusa and a chain match and a biker chain match.
It's just the people just don't like.
Yeah.
But they don't care, right? It's like they're just sort of. It's such a weird atmosphere at Sturgis. It's strange. Anyway, save the best for last, Oracle. Believe it or not, we're at the end. We're very succinct tonight, right? Your nose was sharp. But we are going to spend a good amount of time on this, I'm sure. Blood runs cold, brother. Glacier.
Oh, buddy, let me tell you,
it's about to happen. Go ahead.
Okay, so let's picture it's late April.
Yeah.
Glacier debuts in like mid-September on a fucking syndicated show. It's 5 months of this shit.
When do they do the thing where they begin to like explain he went to Japan and shit, like to train? Do you remember that?
Yeah.
But the announcers start like he's not.
Yeah.
We're waiting a long time, but he's in Japan learning like martial arts and stuff.
The thing is, I like Ray Lloyd. I think he's a decent worker. It's just he's almost like a Lance Storm in that he doesn't have like believable strikes a lot of times. So it's like this supposed to be this martial arts guy and he's over here like, because at least with Mortis, like Canyon would have like all these wacky like innovative offensive moves and it fucking ruled. Like, and he looked like a Mortal Kombat character and like, and Glacier was supposed to look like that too, but like Mortis really did.
Yeah.
And he would like, and Canyon would pull out like, he would just think of some like gut buster or some fucking like cool ass shit. Like if you watch a Mortis match, it's like on the C show, he's like pulling out all kinds of cool shit.
Mm-hmm.
Glacier like can put a match together fine, but it's like he'll throw a spin kick, and it's like, dude, it looks like fucking Lance Storm throwing a fucking strike.
Yeah.
Like, I don't
You
know.
don't get any lower than that.
The entrance was neat, though. I always did like the entrance. That was neat.
It's the wrong guy in the wrong role. But
Yeah.
honestly, the real
Yeah.
truth, at the wrong time.
Exactly. Yeah.
The promotion is about to transform, and bless this act, but it ain't part of that.
Yeah. I still think I've seen it maybe once before on the WCW project years ago, but it's the opener of Bash at the Beach '97. It's like Glacier and Ernest Miller versus Mortis and Wrath. I remember that match.
I've certainly
back when Vandenberg was the manager.
Oh yeah,
Mortis and Wrath. Yeah.
Ernest Miller's debut is one of the most incredible things ever, because he like just gets in the ring, kicks.
That's right. Yeah.
And like, I think it's Shivani who on commentary who's like, "That's Ernest Miller." Bobby Heenan's like, "Who?"
That's similar to Satnam's thing. The basketball player.
It's honestly kind of worse.
Yeah, that's true.
The only difference is I didn't do lights out and have him attack Samoa Joe, so I guess it's better in that regard. But the way they sell it is worse because Heenan's not clued in at all, so he's just like, "Who is that? What the fuck does that mean?" God bless WCW, I love it. Okay, how was April for them? They're in a bit of trouble here, aren't they? Creatively, they're struggling a little bit.
I tell you, June can't come any quicker for them.
Yeah. It's really interesting. I'm looking forward to getting that. Speaking of such, Oracle, let's kind of put a bow on this episode by telling the folks what they have to look forward to here on this very show. Right? Obviously, this one is different to a lot of shows, and you have to spend so much time watching it, which is very much appreciated because it's an insane amount that we kind of schedule as we go. Right? But before the show, you and I were talking about some stuff. Oracle, let the folks in. Go ahead.
So here's what we're gonna do, okay? And be patient with us, folks. First and foremost, this show's not going anywhere. My Monday Night War watching is not going anywhere. But here's the deal. I got a busy summer. I got things going on. Weather's warming up. I will continue to watch at the pace. Sometimes I get into a binge, whatever. I'm going to continue to watch. I'm not going to stop watching. We're going to get through May, whenever we can get to that. I got some dental work I got to get done or whatever next few weeks. Hopefully we can get an episode in the next week or two. We're going to get through May, and that's like the first leg of the Monday Night Wars, right? So you have September 95 through May 96, all the way up until Hall comes in. Up through that. That's the first leg. When we get done with that, I'm going to continue watching, but we're going to find a series for the summer for a couple of months. On most Thursdays, we're going to cover that. And depending on how much I get through, we can maybe get into June or July 96, or maybe even through August 96 by the end of the summer or something. And then when August comes back, when we get to August, mid-August or so, we'll start back up on this. And that way, I might be in September, October, whatever. We can get 3 or 4 episodes in a row. And we can kind of get, make our way through 96 a little bit. Joe and I are going to talk and figure out a smaller historical Oracle series. Same show.
Yeah, and it's worth noting too.
Topic. And
if you guys have particular topics that interest you, we can try and work them in too, right? Like, because we can do one-offs, we can do extra. We can just do different stuff.
It's just a way to, because I've got a busy summer, stuff going on, work and stuff, and I'll be working more hours and whatnot. So it'll be harder to be. I don't want to stress myself out pushing on that deadline. Yeah. So, and I don't want to feel bad having to wait. Like, oh, it's going to be 3 weeks. I know there's been 3 or 4 week waits a couple of times here, and that's fine. That happens. Again, I'm going to keep watching this. It's not stopping. This isn't like it's going to continue. It just, we will have probably a few episodes in the summer of Monday Night Wars.
Right.
But hopefully when we get to late August, I can be at a certain point, we can get 3 or 4 episodes in a row, and then I can be, where I can be.
Well, I said to you,
or whatever.
when this very thing started and you wanted to do this project, we were talking about doing it as a written deal, and then we both agreed, let's do a podcast, right? And this was like a different time for the grin, but I think we're both been very happy with how this has worked out format wise. But I said to you at the time when we found this name, the Historical Oracle, and that incredible logo that sits above us, which I honestly take for granted how fucking great that logo is. I said to you, this is going to be something we use for more than just the Monday Night Wars.
Right.
This is going to be basically myself and the audience tapping into your knowledge of pro wrestling history. We're going to start with this. We can go anywhere. So we're going to try and figure stuff out. And obviously we've got time. But again, I want to stress, folks, if you've got suggestions, feel free to give it to us. Like,
and again,
it could be on Twitter or whatever.
People who are big fans of the Monday Night Wars specifically, it's not going away at all.
Yeah, absolutely.
And again, it's not like we're just going to take 3 months out. We're going to get a couple episodes in. We're going to get a few episodes in. Again, May, we're going to get through May. That's the first leg. And then we're going to, get through, a couple more episodes. And then that way I can kind of work my way through in the summer, my own pace. I can get through binges or whatever and not have to worry about timelines. The key is I'll have to make good notes and keep my memory. I have a pretty sharp memory, but
I'd say so.
I'll probably have to read over some notes, whatever, which is fine. Like, it's not a big deal. That's why we want to get a few episodes in the summer so that I don't get too far ahead and then I'm like not able to speak on some stuff.
The beauty of it is because you split into legs smartly, a lot of the stuff will be natural transition points anyway. Right. So
exactly.
I think it makes a lot of sense.
So yeah, we will jump back in consistently into Monday Night War. We're probably in August, and again, we're going to get through May 96 first. In fact, Joe and I were talking before the show. It's kind of broken out in 5 legs, right? Like September 95 through May 96, first leg. Second one is 83 weeks, and then third one is the rest of 98 up until Foley put butts in seats. Being a Poke of Doom. The majority of 99 is the fourth leg up until Russo goes to WCW, and then the final leg is the last 18 months.
Yeah.
So
the rest is very much history in that case. Yeah, absolutely.
Yes, and we'll be tackling 83 weeks. We'll probably get summer 96 up through the summer of 2022. We'll probably get a couple episodes here, and then we'll start to really tackle 96 as we get closer to the fall, and we'll be able to get through maybe most of 96, if not all of it.
There you go. Good shit, man. I'm excited to continue with this, and I think you've kind of stressed to me throughout, like when that 2-hour jump happens too, it's gonna be challenging. So we'll go at the pace we need to, but we're gonna stick with it. Okay. Also, one other thing before we get out of here, when we go off, Oracle and I are going to just spend a little bit of time locking in the Grid and Grappler matches. I'm going to try to tweet those tomorrow. And actually, we're going to try and piece some stuff together. So hopefully, if you've been waiting for the Regal matches, they should be on Twitter tomorrow because we're probably going to just figure those out right now, right, Oracle? So any final thoughts or comments, pal, before we get out here and get to that?
No, I'm excited to get through May. Finally made my way through the first week. Not sure if I can do it next Thursday, but hopefully Thursday after that. Hopefully we can get it, because I got some dental work I got to do, and I don't know how all that's going to work out yet. I got an appointment, and might have to get something pulled or whatever, and all that fun stuff. So it might be hard to do a podcast with a hole in my mouth. So
don't worry about
it. We'll see.
I don't think anyone will begrudge you now. I think you'll be okay.
Right. But so we'll have something. We'll have something in store for summer series that we're going to have here, and we'll jump back into the Monday Night Wars a little bit too, but before the fall. But Joe and I'll think of something fun to explore for a little bit.
There's a lot of different stuff we can do, right? And again, it could be one-offs. We could do an extended, 2-3 part. Like, there's different stuff. And also, don't be surprised if we try and get some of the other grinners involved in this too, because this can be, this particular project is basically, I'm just here to kind of, lead into Oracle's stuff. We can do different stuff with different ones, right? There could be interest points for a Bob or Jay Shell, whoever. So, lots to look forward to, folks. I honestly think this next couple of weeks, especially the last week of May, what I've kind of got penciled in, I think it's going to be a lot of fun. I'm going to talk to Oracle about it in a second. There'll be announcements soon. I will see you all tomorrow at 10 a.m. Eastern for the Burt. It's behind the paywall, so it'll be almost all Q&A. I'll talk some MJF. Just rein it in, though, not too much, please. I just did it when Oracle was gone. That was enough. But I'll answer questions best I can, obviously, on the Burt. That's 10 a.m. Eastern. Then at 4:30, around that range, Retire the Rankings, which J Shell title Bliss is back. Big pop. Rory's Hulbert. And then the Late Night Grim, which will be an absurd show in which many different people are going to be showing up at different times because it's on very early and Rampage and there's a whole lot. But
Yeah.
we'll cross that bridge when we get to it. And by that, I mean in about 24 hours, less than that even. But in the meantime, please do enjoy this outro, folks. All hell.